Welcome back. And now I'll be sharing lessons from Genesis 38 to 40. This is where we meet Judah, Tamar, and then go deeper into the story of Joseph. So we start off by learning that Judah married a Canaanite woman, and 2 out of his 3 sons died because they were wicked boys. And, the son was married to Tamar. And, they've continued the tradition of when one dies, the other takes over. But then I wondered if this death of the sons, apart from wickedness, had something to do with the fact that he married a Canaanite. We'll come to know that Jesus actually comes from the line of Judah. The Messiah came from the line of Judah. And God had always commanded them not to marry, from the land where they were. They should marry, within their clan. So the whole business with Judah and Tamar, his daughter-in-law, if you remember, who got impregnated by him under false pretenses. Like, she pretended to be a shrine prostitute, and why Judah was out here messing with shrine prostitutes is beyond me, but she gets pregnant and gives birth to twins. So I wonder if that was allowed, because she was perhaps she wasn't Canaanite, maybe she was from their clan. That's what I'm, inclined to believe, because I think it was important that while the Messiah didn't come he came from a long line of questionable characters, as we will come to see, but I feel like he needed to come from the right descendant order, which was Abraham. So perhaps that's what happened. I don't know. So now let's go back to the story of Joseph. Like I said before, Joseph is my all-time favorite Bible character. Like, the way his life was, I feel like I can identify with him sometimes. But we know about his story. In the previous chapter, we saw how his brothers hated him and sold him into slavery. And then we see that God was with Joseph in Potiphar's house. And Potiphar in turn was blessed by association with him. We see this thing again, where someone who is favored by God is with someone who is not necessarily, a God person, but they get blessed because of that person. So we see that happening here in Potiphar's house. His household flourished because of him. And then Potiphar's wife puts her eyes on him. And when she propositions him, he not only expressed his loyalty to his master, but he also considered above that the sin against God, because he was like, no, this is so. Joseph was essentially God's guy. And then obviously he gets into trouble because she lies. But did you notice how Joseph lost yet another coat to lies? The first coat got dipped in blood. He got stripped off of it from his brother, dipped in blood, and they lied to his father. Now this mademoiselle or madame takes his coat and lies, that he tried to rape her. In prison, when he, as a result of that, he goes into prison in Potiphar's house, by the way, because he was the captain of the guard, and the prisoners were held in his house, probably somewhere underground in some dingy dungeon. Poor guy. When the cupbearer and the baker were upset about their dreams and the lack of interpretation, Joseph said to them that dream interpretation was God's business. So he clearly identified as someone who was about God's business. #love it. When he asked them to tell them the dream, and he was able to interpret it, he told them not to. Obviously, the baker got killed and the cupbearer got restored, and he asked the cupbearer not to forget him. Now, the cupbearer forgetting him for a long time, it upset me for a very long time. And it just always reminded me, I was like, you see, human beings, we just have such short memories, especially when you are out of trouble. When you're in trouble, God, please just save me, I'll never do it again. And you are saved and you go right back to it. Cupbearer, he had me feeling so mad. But I've come to understand that it wasn't his time to come out yet, to get out of prison, because it would have been too early. Everything worked together in Joseph's case, according to God's timing. So he needed to be there at the time. And yeah, I felt a bit sad for him, but we'll see how it all worked out. Now, let me tell you my #getting to know God moment in these chapters. I found out from reading this even more so, that God is faithful. Through all the sin in Judah and Tamar's story, we see God remaining faithful to his promise to Abraham. Out of the mess that was Judah's story, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, Jesus, emerged later. It shows that imperfect isn't an automatic disqualification in God's eyes. So just because you are not perfect and just because you are not a certain way doesn't mean that God will not perfect that which he has spoken over your life or whatever promises that he has made. Also, I learned that God's love never departs from us no matter what. We never hear that God appears or speaks to Joseph, but we can clearly see that he was with him throughout slavery and prison and caused him to shine in both places. How wonderful. So thank you for joining me today. Tomorrow we will continue and I'll share lessons from Genesis 41 and 42. Come prepared. See you. Have a good evening. Bye.